So hello, today we have Dr. Woolley with us. So I'm just going to ask her a couple questions about the COVID side of things. So first off, my first question is, what is the HighFlex model, and can you explain it a little bit to me?
Absolutely. Thanks for your question. Your faculty have been busy all summer long preparing so that at any given time they can teach their course face-to-face, like what we hope we're able to do as much as possible, but then also online. If somebody becomes sick and they can't make it to class, they could get it online. And then also a hybrid, a mix of those two. So let's say, we do have to practice social, or I like to say physical distancing. And so our classrooms, if we used to be able to fit 30 students in a classroom, we probably can't fit 30 in there anymore. We have to spread everything out, right? And so we've gone through and rearranged all the rooms. And so depending on your class, and this is hard, there's so many different variables, you may have a class where you go to school face-to-face a couple of times a week, and then the other time you are live streaming. So like you're in your res hall, but you're there at that time, participating, active, engaged, and they've developed their courses to be able to have all of that. You can meet the learning objectives of the class, whether you're there in person, or whether you're in your res hall, or rather you have to go home, or the faculty member is sick and they're preparing stuff in advance in case they're quarantined and can't make it into class. So, and then the ideal is with all this preparation, we can toggle back and forth between what's needed for each student at each time.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. So then, from a student side, do I have to go to class then? If I could just sit and watch it in my bed, why would I go?
It's a really good question, Hannah. So you're paying a considerable amount of money to get an education here at WLC, right? And so the best place for you to be, if you're getting an education, is in class with the faculty, going on with the discussion, being a part of the group. And so as always, WLC is always going to be that high-touch kind of campus where your best education is going to be in the room with other people, if at all possible. If that's not possible, then the next best choice is, sitting on your bed, live streaming it. But really get up, get across campus, go to class whenever possible.
Okay, fine. So then can you kind of explain to me what our classrooms are going to look like? You kind of mentioned it, how they're separated for physical distancing, but how has that all changed?
Yeah, so basically there will be fewer desks in the room. We're still going to be wearing masks. Your faculty will still be wearing masks. We want everybody to be as safe as possible. And so, where you used to maybe would have had a group discussion and everybody scooches their desks together and you have a conversation, like we're working around what are other ways we can get students talking, discussing without having them be in that close proximity. So that might be a little bit different. Labs, our science faculty have been working very diligently to figure out how do we mitigate the risk and still give students the opportunity they need through lab work. So depending on the lab, depending on the instructor, they've worked through different things to make that be as safe as possible, but yet have as quality of a learning experience as you can. So just follow the advice of your professors in that area.
Awesome. And I know you also touched on this, but what happens if our professor gets COVID or if we get COVID?
So, if it depends on, are you living on campus, are you living off? If your professor gets COVID, they need to stay home, right? And even if they think they might, or they need to be quarantined. And so there again, we can teach via online, via live stream. They're preparing stuff in advance to have a couple weeks ready in advance should something happen. So your faculty have been planning around that. So you'll still have class, which is what we want. That's what you're paying for. That's why you're here. If you get sick, if you are quarantined, we'll have some places on campus. If you live close by, I don't know, if it were me, I'd want to go home. Like if I don't feel good and I'm sick, I want to be home with my parents. That's where I'm going to be most comfortable. So, you can go home if you want to, that we have places for students here if this is where they need to be, if they're from a long ways away. We've, we can't guarantee, the one thing we can be, that's going to be consistent is inconsistencies with all of this, but we just try to be as safe as we can, be as flexible as we can, and give our students the best experience we possibly can.
Doing what we can to make sure we're still in class, right?
And having fun too, we want you to have a good college experience despite the wonky time we're in.
All right, so my last question for you is, what is tutoring going to look like this year?
We're going to have tutoring. It'll still be in the same space here in the library. Your tutors will have their set hours. We've limited the chairs. As you can see, there's 2 chairs per table. There will be signs saying no more than 2 people at this table, distancing. If we get larger groups, like to say you want to have a study group with 6, 7 people, there's an exam coming up, or you're all working on a chemistry problem, go downstairs to a classroom, spread out, have the session down there. So if it's just you and a tutor, you can be up here. If more people come to join you, then we need to move downstairs, and there's lots of room down there to spread out in the evenings.
Gotcha. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Is there anything else you wanted to share?
And I appreciate you taking the time to do this. Thanks so much.
Of course. Thank you.
Mhm.